Think about the last time you got a notification that made your stomach drop. I'm talking about a calendar invite with no subject,
"Can we chat?"
from your manager, a company-wide email that starts with,
"Exciting changes ahead."
For just a moment, you did the math in your head. How long can this last if all this went away tomorrow? And whatever number you came up with, whether it was 2 weeks or 2 months, it probably wasn't enough for you to feel comfortable. Most women have spent years becoming exceptional at their jobs, but almost none of us were taught to build something that can stand on its own without our job. And that's the conversation that I want to have in this video. If you're new here, my name is Nick Scott. I'm the founder of Her Income Edit, where I help professional women turn their existing skills into coaching income, digital products, and online businesses. And today, we're talking about the plan too many of us never made. The second plan. The plan that doesn't depend on someone else's budget, someone else's decision, or someone else's idea of your value. If you haven't figured out what your second income stream could even look like, I want you to drop ideas down in the comments, and I'll give you the link to my free guide, 101 Coaching Ideas, because this conversation is only useful once you know what you're building. And stay with me until the end, because the last thing I'm going to share is what changes when you stop operating with a single plan, and not just financially. And this is the part that changes everything. So here's the thing I want you to remember. Your 9 to 5 was never meant to be your only plan. Not because your job isn't real or because your career doesn't matter. Your 9 to 5 was never meant to be your only plan because one income stream is not financial safety. It's financial dependence. And most of us were never taught to see the difference between those. So here's the thing most of us don't say out loud. We don't end up with one income stream because we're careless. We ended up here because we were following the instructions that we were given. We were taught to go to school, get qualified, get hired, work hard, move up that ladder. And that's a real legitimate path. It's a path that has built careers and it has changed countless lives, but it was presented as the plan, not a plan. And most of us, we followed that plan without ever asking what happens when that plan stops working. Not if the plan stops working, when that plan stops working. Because that plan, it depends on someone else keeping you around. And the truth is that plan can end abruptly and without your permission. And nobody warns you about that when you're collecting your first paycheck. Nobody sat you down and said,
"This income is real, but it's conditional. It belongs to someone else's decision. You have to build something that belongs to you."
We were never told that. We were told to perform well, to stay loyal, and to trust that the system would take care of us. And a lot of us did everything right. We performed, we stayed loyal. We built our whole lives around that one stream of income. And some of us got a 15-minute Zoom call anyway. I personally lived this. On March 4th, 2026, it took 15 minutes and a job that I loved was gone, just like that. And what I was grateful for in that moment is that I wasn't operating on a single plan anymore. But a lot of women find out that the original plan was fragile at the exact moment they can least afford the shock. And here's what I know. The time to build your second stream of income isn't after you lose the first one. Now I want to draw a line between two things that get used like they mean the same thing. Job security and income security are not the same thing. Job security means your employer wants to keep you. Income security means it doesn't matter if your employer changes their mind. Most women have spent years building towards job security. So that's better performance reviews, more skills, more value they're delivering, more years of loyalty. And that work right there is real and it totally matters, but job security, it lives inside someone else's decision. Income security, on the other hand, it lives inside what you've built for yourself. And only one of these is something you control. So think about the difference between those two places. One puts your financial future in someone else's hands. The other puts it in yours. And that's not a small distinction. So for a lot of women, that right there is the whole game. Now, here's the part people don't talk about enough. A second stream of income isn't just about the money. It's about what having options does to every single other area of your life. Think about how differently you'd walk into work on Monday knowing your income doesn't begin and end at that job. You negotiate differently. You set boundaries differently. You stop tolerating things you only tolerate because you feel like you have to. There's a word for what that feels like. It's called leverage. Not leverage to be difficult, leverage to be honest. Leverage to stay because you genuinely want to be there, not because you feel like you don't have any other options. And for women who have spent years overextending themselves out of financial fear, that shift isn't a small one. It changes how you show up at work. It changes what you say yes to. It changes what you finally can say no to. When you're not desperate to keep your job, you stop performing for your job and you start performing for yourself. And I would be leaving something out if I didn't say this. A second stream of income also changes how you feel about the first one. The job that used to feel like a trap, it starts to feel like a choice. And choosing to be somewhere is a fundamentally different experience than feeling like you're stuck there. A lot of women, they don't realize how much of their daily stress is tied to the feeling that they have no other alternative. That your job, your paycheck, that one stream is the only thing standing between you and financial instability. That pressure is heavy and it colors everything in your life. The meetings you sit in, they feel more threatening. The feedback you receive, it feels more personal. The office politics feel impossible to navigate because when you have no options, everything feels like a higher stake than it needs to be. And trust me when I say, build your second stream of income and watch your first stream of income start to feel real different. And it's not because your job changed, it's because you did. Now, let me talk about what I hear most often when women talk about why they haven't built a second stream of income yet. They say,
I don't know what I'd offer. I wouldn't even know where to start. I don't have time for one more thing.
listen, I hear all that. I really, really do. But here's what I've learned from talking to hundreds of women. Most of the time, this isn't really about the logistics. It's about your belief. Specifically, your belief that what you know is too ordinary to be worth paying for. That your skills are just your job. That everyone probably knows this stuff. And nobody would pay you for something that comes so naturally to you. And that belief is what keeps more women stuck than time ever has. That quiet, persistent belief that's sometimes sitting in the background for years. Because here's what I know to be true. The things that feel ordinary to you are the things that somebody else is desperately trying to figure out. The skills that you use without thinking, those are skills someone would pay a premium to have access to. The experience you've built over the years is a curriculum that's waiting to be packaged. Think about the last time someone came to you with a problem in your area of expertise. Maybe they were overwhelmed by something that you've navigated 100 times. Maybe they were stuck on something that you could walk through in your sleep. You helped them, right? Probably in 20 minutes. And you helped them probably without thinking twice about it. So to you, that was a Tuesday. But to them, it might have been the most useful conversation that they'd had in months. And that gap is where your coaching offer lives. Listen, you don't have to have it all figured out. You just have to stop assuming that what you know isn't worth offering, because it is. And here's the other part that nobody says out loud enough. You don't have to wait until you feel ready to build something. First you commit, then the clarity follows. A lot of women treat their second stream of income like it has to prove itself before they'll take it seriously. They say things like,
I'll commit when this starts making real money. I'll invest time in my business when things slow down. I'll build my offer when I feel more ready.
but y'all, that's backwards. Your income doesn't build your belief builds your income. And here's what that looks like in practice. It looks like opening your laptop before you feel completely ready. It looks like talking about your offer before you've perfected every detail. It looks like telling one person what you're building before you even have a single testimonial behind it. It looks like taking the thing that's been living in your notes app and making a decision that it deserves more than a note, because it does. And it starts with one decision most women keep postponing, and that's the decision to stop treating one income stream like it's enough of a plan. Because deep down, you already know it isn't. You've known every single time a company-wide Slack message made your stomach drop. You've known every time you did the math and the math wasn't mathing. You've known it every Sunday night when you thought about how much your life is relying on one paycheck that belongs to someone else's decision. You don't need me to tell you all this because you already know. The question is just, when are you going to decide to do something about it? So what does building a stream of income look like in practice? It looks like deciding your future deserves more than a plan someone else designed for you. It looks like identifying one skill, one expertise, one area of knowledge you already have, and packaging that into an offer. It doesn't have to be perfect, y'all. It doesn't have to be big. It just needs to be started. And if you're ready to build that first offer right now, I want you to go get 2K in 2 hours. By the end of this micro course, you won't still be wondering what your second income stream looks like, because you'll have a complete, priced, and ready to sell coaching offer that is built around what you already know. Because the version of you who has a second stream of income, she doesn't just feel more financially safe, she shows up in every other part of her life from a different place. The link for 2K in 2 hours is down in the description, or you can go to my website at herincomeedit.com/2K. A year from now, your 9-to-5 will still be making demands. Priorities are still going to shift. Restructures are still going to be happening. And you'll either be a year into building something you own, or you'll still be waiting for the right moment to get started. And those two paths create completely different lives. And it's not because one woman is more talented or more deserving. It's because one of those women, she decided that her 9-to-5 was never meant to be her only plan. And she stopped waiting for the circumstances to agree with her. So if you've been nodding along while watching this video, I want you to go watch this video next. It takes this conversation from decision to action and shows you exactly how to move from insight to your first client. All right, I'll see you there.